Hey everyone, welcome back to the Deep Dive. So today we're going to be taking a deep dive into something that you guys specifically requested.
Yeah.
It was a podcast episode titled 15 Daily Habits to Improve Your Life.
Nice.
Now you might be thinking, okay, I've heard it all before, right? Like eat right and exercise and all that.
Yeah.
But trust me, we're going beyond the surface here.
Absolutely.
We're not just going to list out these habits. We're going to unpack the why behind them.
Yeah.
The science, the psychology,
Yeah.
the real nitty-gritty of how these seemingly small tweaks can lead to some pretty big changes.
You know what fascinates me about this podcast is its emphasis on the cumulative effect of these small changes.
Right.
It's like that saying, Rome wasn't built in a day.
Exactly.
You don't have to overhaul your entire life overnight.
Right.
Instead, it's about focusing on these consistent daily actions that over time can really add up to something significant.
I love that analogy.
Yeah.
Like, instead of trying to move mountains, we're talking about shifting the pebbles. And eventually the whole landscape changes.
Exactly.
Okay, so to make this even more digestible, we've grouped the 15 habits into these like themed clusters.
Okay.
Our first one up is morning rituals.
Okay.
So
yeah.
we're talking like wake up early, make your bed, drink water first thing, and practice gratitude.
Yeah.
I am curious though, isn't the whole early bird gets the worm thing kind of a cliche?
Yeah.
Like some of us just aren't wired to be morning people.
You bring up a really great point.
Right.
While some individuals naturally thrive in the morning,
Yeah.
the science behind waking up early is less about conforming to a specific chronotype and more about leveraging our body's natural hormonal rhythms.
Okay.
So cortisol, often called the stress hormone,
Yeah.
naturally peaks in the morning for most people.
Oh, interesting.
Harnessing this peak by waking up early can actually boost your willpower and your focus, setting you up for a more productive day.
Hold on. So you're telling me that waking up even just a little bit earlier could actually give me more willpower to resist that extra donut?
Exactly.
Okay. I'm listening.
And it's not just about avoiding donuts.
Yeah.
It's about having that mental clarity to tackle those challenging tasks, make those tough decisions, and really take control of your day.
Okay, that makes sense. But what about make your bed?
Okay.
The podcast was emphasizing it as like a quick win,
Yeah.
but is there really any science behind that?
Oh, there is.
Doesn't it seem a bit trivial?
It might seem trivial, but there's a fascinating psychological principle at play here called the visual cue.
Okay.
When you make your bed, you're creating a sense of order in your environment.
Yeah.
This visual cue signals to your brain that you're a person who completes tasks,
Interesting.
which in turn motivates you to tackle other things on your to-do list.
Oh.
It's almost like a mini celebration of productivity right at the start of your day.
So it's not just about a tidy room. It's about
Yeah.
sending a powerful message to your subconscious.
Exactly.
Like, hey, we're getting things done today.
Exactly.
I like that.
Exactly.
Okay, now on to hydration.
Okay.
The podcast was very adamant about drink water first thing in the morning. I get that water is important, but is there really that much difference between drinking it first thing or later on in the day?
Think of it this way.
Yeah.
You've just spent 7 or 8 hours without any fluids.
Okay.
Your body is literally dehydrated.
Right.
Starting your day with a glass of water is like rehydrating your cells, waking them up,
Okay.
and getting them ready to function at their best.
Mm-hmm.
It also jumpstarts your metabolism, and it can help flush out toxins that have accumulated overnight.
Right.
It's like giving your internal system a refreshing rinse before the day begins.
I can see how that would make a difference.
Yeah.
You're making me want to reach for a glass of water right now.
I always keep a glass on my nightstand for that very reason.
Smart. And finally, for this morning rituals cluster, we have practice gratitude.
Yeah.
Now, I'm all for being positive, but does simply jotting down a few things you're grateful for each morning really have that much impact?
It's not about magical thinking. It's about intentionally shifting your focus.
Okay.
Our brains have a natural negativity bias, meaning we tend to dwell on the negative more than the positive.
Right.
Gratitude practice actively combats this bias by forcing us to look for the good, however small it may be.
Oh.
Over time, this consistent focus on the positive actually rewires your brain, making you more optimistic and resilient.
So instead of focusing on what's missing, you're training your brain to appreciate what you already have.
Yeah.
It's almost like rewiring your internal dialogue to be more positive and hopeful.
Exactly.
All right, ready to move on to our next cluster of habits.
Absolutely. Let's dive in.
Okay, this one is all about nurturing your mind and body.
Yeah.
We've called it Mind and Body Boosters. And it includes move your body, read for 10, 15 minutes, and learn something new. Now, I have a feeling you might have some questions about that first habit.
I bet I do.
Look, I know exercise is important, but the podcast suggested that even just 5 to 10 minutes can make a difference.
Yeah.
Isn't that just a drop in the bucket? Does that really do anything?
It's not about the duration, it's about consistency and intensity.
Okay, you see, even short bursts of high-intensity interval training, HIIT, can have a profound impact on your physical and mental well-being.
HIT. Okay, you're going to have to break that down for me.
HIIT involves short bursts of intense exercise followed by brief recovery periods.
Okay.
Think sprints, jumping jacks, burpees, anything that gets your heart rate up quickly.
Yeah.
The beauty of HIIT is that it's incredibly efficient.
Right.
You can get a fantastic workout in just 10 to 15 minutes.
So it's like packing a whole workout into a tiny time capsule. I like it.
Exactly.
But how does this tie into our mental well-being?
Well, intense exercise triggers the release of endorphins, which act as natural mood boosters and pain relievers.
Okay.
It's like a shot of happiness straight to your brain.
Wow.
Additionally, exercise improves blood flow to the brain, enhancing cognitive function and reducing stress levels.
So it's a win-win. You get a physical workout and a mental pick-me-up. All in one. Sign me up.
I love it.
Now, what about reading? I'll admit I haven't picked up a book in a while.
Is just 10-15 minutes a day really enough to make a difference?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Reading, even for short periods, is like a workout for your brain.
Interesting.
It strengthens cognitive function, improves focus and concentration, and expands your vocabulary.
Right.
It also exposes you to new ideas and perspectives, broadening your understanding of the world.
I've heard that reading fiction can actually boost your empathy. Is there any truth to that?
There is.
Really?
When we immerse ourselves in a fictional story,
Yeah.
we step into the shoes of the characters, experiencing their emotions and navigating their challenges.
Right.
This act of perspective taking can enhance our ability to understand and empathize with others in real life.
Wow, I never thought about it like that.
Yeah.
So reading isn't just about entertainment. It's about personal growth and expanding our emotional intelligence.
I love that.
Okay, now for the final habit in this cluster, learn something new.
Oh.
What exactly did the podcast suggest?
The beauty of this habit is its flexibility. It could be anything that sparks your curiosity and challenges you to step outside your comfort zone.
Yeah.
Learning a new language, picking up a musical instrument, taking an online course in a subject that interests you, the possibilities are endless.
Right. I guess it's about that lifelong learner mindset, right?
Absolutely.
Never stop growing, never stop exploring.
Exactly. And there are tangible benefits to this approach.
Yeah.
Learning new things keeps our brains sharp, promotes neuroplasticity,
Okay.
the brain's ability to form new connections,
Right.
and even helps build cognitive reserve, which can protect against cognitive decline as we age.
So it's not just about acquiring new skills, it's about investing in our long-term brain health. I'm starting to see a pattern here.
Yeah.
These seemingly small habits are all interconnected and contribute to a much larger picture of well-being.
Absolutely.
Okay, on to our next cluster. What have we got?
This next cluster is all about maximizing your efficiency and focus.
Okay.
We've labeled it productivity hacks, and it includes plan your day, limit social media, and take breaks.
Yeah,
Now, I know you're a busy person,
I am.
so I'm curious to hear your thoughts on planning.
Yeah.
Do you find it helpful to map out your day in advance?
I'll be honest, I'm more of a go-with-the-flow kind of person.
Yeah.
Planning always felt a bit restrictive.
Okay.
But the podcast made a good point
Yeah.
about how easily distractions can derail our day if we don't have a clear plan.
Right. Distractions are everywhere these days.
They are?
It's not about creating a rigid schedule that you have to adhere to perfectly.
Okay.
It's more about having a roadmap for your day, a way to prioritize your tasks,
Yeah.
and ensure that you're allocating your time and energy to the things that matter most.
So it's less about control and more about intentionality.
Exactly.
Choosing how you spend your time instead of letting it be dictated by external forces.
I love that.
And one of the biggest external forces vying for our attention these days is, of course, social media. The podcast referred to it as a time trap, and I think that's a pretty apt description.
Yeah.
Have you ever found yourself scrolling endlessly through your feed, losing track of time?
Oh, all the time.
The podcast recommended setting time limits or scheduling specific social media breaks.
Mm-hmm.
Is that really effective?
It can be if you're disciplined about it.
Okay.
The key is to be mindful of your usage patterns.
Yeah.
Instead of passively consuming whatever the algorithm throw at you,
Right.
make a conscious decision about when and how you engage with social media.
So it's about taking back control,
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
Setting boundaries and
Yeah.
using social media on our own terms.
Mhm.
But isn't it a bit ironic that we're discussing this on a podcast?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, isn't this just another form of media consumption?
It's a valid point.
Right.
The difference, I believe, lies in the intentionality.
Okay.
You, the listener, have actively chosen to engage with this content,
Right.
seeking specific knowledge or insights.
Yeah.
It's not just passively washing over you. You're actively participating in the learning process.
That's a good distinction.
Right.
It's about being an active participant, not a passive consumer.
Absolutely.
Okay, now on to the last habit in this cluster. Take breaks. This one seems pretty straightforward.
Yeah.
But is there more to it than just stepping away from our work every now and then?
Our brains aren't designed for sustained focus over long periods.
Right.
We need regular breaks to recharge and reset.
Okay.
The podcast mentioned the Pomodoro technique, but there are many other approaches.
Mm-hmm.
The key is to find what works best for you and build those breaks into your workday.
I've heard that even just getting up and moving around for a few minutes can make a big difference.
Absolutely.
Really?
Physical movement helps to improve blood flow and oxygenation to the brain,
Okay.
which can boost alertness and cognitive function.
Interesting.
Even just a few minutes of stretching or walking can have a positive impact.
So it's like hitting the reset button for your brain.
It-
Okay, what's our next cluster of habits?
This one focuses on nurturing your social and emotional well-being.
Okay.
We've called it social and emotional well-being,
Mm-hmm.
and it includes surround yourself with positive people and reflect on your day.
Okay.
Now, I'm curious to know, what's your take on the whole you are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with concept?
I've always found that quote to be both inspiring and a little intimidating.
Yeah,
It really highlights the impact our social circles have on our lives.
absolutely.
But is it really that simple? Do our friends really have that much influence over us?
Well, while we can't always choose our family or colleagues, right?
Right.
We do have some control over the people we allow into our inner circle.
Okay.
It's not about cutting off everyone who's ever had a negative thought,
Right.
but rather being mindful of the energy that we surround ourselves with.
So it's about cultivating a supportive and uplifting environment. Choosing friends who inspire us to grow and become better versions of ourselves. But let's be real. Even with the most positive friends, life can still throw curveballs.
Absolutely.
That's where the last habit in this cluster comes in, right? Reflect on your day.
Exactly. Reflection is a powerful tool for processing our experiences and learning from them.
Right.
The podcast host suggested journaling, but even just taking a few minutes each evening to quietly reflect on the day's events can be incredibly insightful.
So it's about hitting the pause button on the mental whirlwind and taking stock of our thoughts and emotions and actions. I can see how that could be helpful in identifying patterns and recognizing triggers and making more conscious choices going forward.
Absolutely. It's a form of self-awareness that can lead to greater emotional intelligence and resilience.
Right.
And speaking of resilience, that brings us to our final cluster,
Okay.
the foundation upon which all other habits rest.
The foundation.
Yeah, we've called it the foundation, and it encompasses eat healthy whole foods and sleep well.
Okay, these are the habits I think we're all pretty familiar with,
Yeah.
but sometimes struggle to prioritize.
Sure. The podcast really hammered home the point that without proper nutrition and adequate rest, all our other efforts might be in vain.
Exactly.
But what exactly do they mean by whole foods?
Okay.
Isn't that a bit vague?
It is a broad term, but essentially it refers to foods that are minimally processed and as close to their natural state as possible.
Okay.
Think fruits, vegetables, whole grains, lean proteins, and healthy fats.
Right.
These foods provide our bodies with the essential nutrients they need to function optimally.
So it's about fueling our bodies with high-quality ingredients, not just empty calories. And the podcast host was pretty adamant about the importance of sleep.
Yes.
They actually called it non-negotiable.
Right.
Why is sleep so crucial?
Sleep is when our bodies and minds repair and rejuvenate themselves.
Okay.
It's essential for everything from hormone regulation to memory consolidation to immune system function.
Right.
When we consistently skimp on sleep, we're essentially shortchanging our health and well-being in countless ways.
It sounds like sleep is the ultimate act of self-care. It really is.
So we've covered a lot of ground here.
We have.
We've explored 15 daily habits, clustered them into these insightful themes, and delved into the science and psychology behind them.
It's been fascinating to unpack these seemingly simple habits and discover the profound impact they can have on our lives.
It really highlights the power of those small, consistent actions, those daily choices that over time shape our health, our happiness, and our overall well-being.
And it all circles back to that initial point. You don't need to make drastic changes overnight.
Right.
It's about those incremental steps, those tiny shifts in our daily routines that, when compounded over time, can lead to remarkable results.
So as we wrap up this deep dive, we want to leave you with something to ponder, something to spark action of all the habits we've discussed today. Which one resonates with you the most?
Yeah, which one feels like the missing piece in your own journey towards a better life?
And even more importantly, what's one small step you can take today, right now, to implement that habit into your daily routine? Remember, you don't have to do it all at once. Start small, stay consistent, and trust the process.
I love it.
The journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step.
Absolutely.
Thanks for joining us on The Deep Dive.